had to run. You know we're not going to start without you.
I think it's fun to watch him run, though, so let's encourage him.
The only exercise I guess.
All right, whatever you guys are.
What's it going to be like getting Frank Clark back in the building with you guys?
Obviously, it's going to be a lot of fun. There's a strong relationship there, and obviously he's started his career as a Seahawk and spent a lot of time with him, so it's an exciting time to get him back. You know, wish the circumstances were different, you know, for why it worked out, but it's great to have him, or how it worked out, but it's great that we have him here.
How do you think he'll be able to help you guys right now?
I mean, in terms of, he knows technique-wise and all the things, the expectations of the position. A lot of it is just getting caught up on lingo and things of that nature. So Frank was always a sharp guy, so I don't expect there to be any issues.
You mentioned the circumstances. Just how tough is that to lose Chet now?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's one of the most underrated players in the league. Hell of a football player, leader. Just can do so many things at a high level, you know, and like really, really, really well. And I still feel like his game was continuing to grow and get better. So, you know, really tough loss, hurt for him. And I know how important he loves playing the game of football. He loves practicing. He doesn't like missing anything. So this will be a tough time, but we're going to help him through this process because he's a Seahawk all day long, and we got his back through it, and look forward to him getting healthy and back to us.
It can sometimes go overlooked, Clint, but what did Chenna do really well in the run game that kind of helped the improvement you guys have seen this year?
I mean, he's already a great edge setter in the run game. Just so many, the style of play. I mean, he's a hammer setting the edge, but he also can be very slippery and difficult to block with his niftiness and ability to play out there. In coverage, you didn't worry about him in matchups and coverage. He can cover tight ends man-to-man. If you go back to the Giants game last year, he was covering Saquon Barkley stride for stride on wheel routes and things like that. There's nothing the guy can't do. He can go rush the passer. So, I mean, high-level player. Like I said, I feel like he's severely underrated. He can do everything under the sun. You know, there's certain situations schematically that come up when you play a team that maybe you don't want to put a player in and say, hey, you know, we need to do something different because we don't want to put this guy in this role. You never worry about that with him because he can handle everything. So he's a heck of a player, even better person.
Where's Darrell Taylor in that regard, run defense, part of the game?
You know, still continuing, like improving, getting better than he was last year, but still taking the steps in the right direction. You know, Sunday was a good start for him. It's been a slower start. He would be the first one to admit that too, but he got off to a slow start last year and finished off strong. He's going to turn the corner even faster. We got all the confidence in the world at DT.
For a guy like him, or any young guy who wants to make his mark as a pass rusher, how much discipline and stick-to-itiveness does it take to be a run defender on the edge like that?
It takes a lot because the things that when you're a natural pass rusher, you want to get after the quarterback. Obviously, you can't get a sack on a run play. So you got to be just aware of whether formation, pre-snap tips, and the offensive line may give you backfield sets. You know, most offenses, most of them will give you clues and ideas about what's going on. It's just the discipline to be able to do it because you're going to get even more rush opportunities. There's much more passes on first, second down than there is in the typical third down situations in a game. So obviously just putting the whole thing together would help out tremendously, and I know he's working towards that all the time.
With the loss of Chenna, going back to schematically, I know you're not going to change your defense, but then what do you do? Do you assignments given to other players, or how do you?
No, we play left and right. We don't designate, you know, who's a Sam or a Will or who's a left and right end or something like that. All the guys understand all the roles and the techniques within the system, and we just keep on moving forward. Mafe is doing an outstanding job right now, and Derek Hall still continue to come along and all those things, and DT knows what's going on as well. And then we'll get Frankie up to speed. So we don't have to change anything schematically.
How ready is Derek Hall for kind of a bigger role if he has to take one?
He's ready. I mean, each week he's gotten better and just steadily improved. So he's ready for more.
What's Mafe done from year to 1 to 2
Man, it's a long conversation because it's the full game for him has come along. You know, usually it kind of goes in bits and pieces. Last year he came in, he was a really good run defender. He's long, he's strong, he can set edges, he can get off of blocks. So he had already that in his foundation of play. But now it's, you know, when he's in coverage, a few opportunities that he's been in it, he's done those well and been on top of his assignments. And obviously as a pass rusher, that's where he's taken the next big step. And just staying consistent with his rush plan has been the biggest thing. A lot of times when you're a rookie, you're just going and playing aimlessly and not worrying about, okay, I got to get into my plan, or how is this guy setting me, where is he placing his hands, and I already know my plan of attack going into the game, so I don't have to think when I'm playing. He's not thinking anymore. So it's just all around, but the big part that everybody sees, because that's the The big stat is the sack production and the win rate, which obviously we all love. So it's just bringing him all around as an all-around player.
Does Boye have some Frank to his game, like with the hand fighting that he's had with the pass rushing and kind of some of the elements carrying on?
I would say different style of guy with his hands, but very active with his hands. And kind of different movement of athletes, so that's a little bit different. I would say in terms of the twitchiness and the fluidity, there's a little bit more between DT and Frank, but the refinement part for DT is still coming.
How good was Jordan Brooks in the second half last week?
Unbelievable. I mean, he was all over the place. Pass coverage, run game, his fits, tackling, seeing the routes, things that we call like the kill zone area in the zones, or finding the check downs and things like that, playing with depth and getting his foot in the ground to get downhill. He was outstanding.
Obviously he's not on the field for every play, which he probably wishes he were, but it sounds like you have to talk to him about that a little bit from time to time.
We always got a lot of talented guys, so there's situations depending on the roles, because we're going to need everybody, all right, through the course of the year. So there's going to be certain roles that sometimes guys will be a part of, they may not be, and as long as you communicate things early, you'll be fine. It doesn't mean that they like it, but they have time to work through it, as opposed to right before kickoff. Hey, by the way, and that doesn't work out too good.
Big picture over the last month or so of this defense, what you guys are playing. What do you like most that you've seen in these last 3-4 games?
How hard and how physical guys are playing. That's always, if you turn the volume off to the TV and just watch us play, what's the speed, the tenacity, how physical we're playing is the first thing that I want to see. Even when you watch opponent film, that's what the first thing you're looking at is how hard and how physical do they play. So that's the number one thing. Where I really love the next steps that we're taking is our level of communication with our players. I feel like when you coach, you install, you make corrections as things are going. But in practice and even in walkthroughs, as motions and things like that happen, I always tell the coaches all the time, you don't have to immediately chime in on everything. Watch and see how the players handle everything and how they communicate with one another, because then you learn, do they have ownership of the defense? Has the defense become theirs? Because what happens is now they know the tools, they know how things can be played, and as you listen as a coach and you hear the communication of what's going on and you hear them decipher things and they work it out, that's awesome. Why that's important is because coaches, we can't coach in between the white lines on Sunday. They have to be able to handle that communication. Now, if something's not right, you step in and say, here's why we can't do this in this situation, and you make that correction there. But also that's empowering to the players, because they feel the confidence that you have in them as a coach, that you trust them to make the right decisions.
When did you learn that, Clint?
Say again?
When did you learn the importance of that? Listening with the players on it?
I would say I learned that from Fangio being in Chicago. I was a college coach when I first, obviously being a college guy, first getting in the NFL. A lot of it, you do a lot of yelling and screaming with young kids because they're, 17, 18 years old. They have no idea, and you're like losing your mind to get them situated. So I remember I was with him, and you do all that barking in practice, and he's like, how do you ever know what they know? And I was like, what do you mean? And he's just like, you got to ask them questions, or you got to hear their conversations between each other, kind of see where they're at. Never thought about it that way, and it made complete sense to me. So.
Clint, what contributes to players playing fast? Recognition of the play, film study? Because you said other three things, right?
Yes.
Speed, communication, and then the execution.
Absolutely. Yeah, it always starts with film study, and then you take the film study to walkthroughs. Always about film, formation recognition, backfield sets, things like that, the alignments, and then there's things that you see on tape with how guys change their splits and alignments and formation. Stances may change, with a receiver if he's going to run a route or he's going to crack down on the defensive end before a crack toss play. Little things that you always find out that you're looking for. Do receivers adjust and tighten their gloves before they go run a route, and they leave the gloves undone when they go run block? Those little clues like that you pick up, and that's the kind of stuff that you're looking for, whether you're watching the TV copy, you're watching the coach's film, stuff like that. Because anything that gives you an advantage before a play is big. Now can you use it though?
Are those little things kind of helping Jordan Brooks be the player he is now? Because that's been the difference.
Absolutely. Like when you come in as a young player, I think, you guys, I say this all the time, so it sounds redundant, but the game slows down. JB has always been an unbelievable athlete, explosive, violent hitter, the whole deal. So a lot of those things that we talk about, they hear it as a rookie. It's just, are they ready to absorb the information? And now he's gotten to the point where he's absorbing things and he sees it and he can play the game that much faster. And he's already extremely fast and athletic and all those things as well. So I think a lot of it, he's just taking in the information and he's going.
Not that he can't do it, but is not having the play calling coming through him maybe freeing him up a little bit more too, playing that much faster?
I think if he had to continue to do it, he would have only gotten better. So I wouldn't say that he was not. He was fully capable of doing it, but it was the first time. But when you don't have that added responsibility, it does allow you to be able to go play free. There's no question about that.
Did you have a visceral reaction seeing Devin's hit live up in the box?
I was excited, but you kind of always have to catch myself in the moment because I'm like, you're not a fan, you're not playing, you're not a position coach anymore. Get to the next call. So you got to kind of keep yourself collected and composed. But that was exciting to see.
Are you preconditioned anymore to just think anything that's going to draw a flag because you just so often do? Or?
I always hold my breath. I do. You know, especially like when you get near the quarterback today. I mean, if you don't wrap the guy in bubble wrap and put a blanket over him, it almost might be a flag. So I get nervous anytime we get around the QB. As much as you want sacks, it's just like, just don't hit him too hard. And it's like, why? What am I saying? But that's where the game has went, though.
What have you done with Jamal's first two full games?
Been really good, unbelievable in his run fits. Been sounding really good in coverage. Handled the seam route that they threw to Marquise Brown, played that beautifully. The one down on the away from our tunnel, and Diggy was involved in a break on that too. Make sure everybody gives him his credit on that. He's handling a big-time fast receiver up the seam. That was a heck of a job. So he's doing really, really well.
You guys haven't really unleashed him yet as a pass rusher. Has that been partly because you want to get his feet wet?
Well, I think it was like the third play of the game. I set him on a blitz against the Giants. Don't worry, there's more coming. There's more coming.
Are you seeing the benefits of being upstairs versus down on the sideline?
Yeah, it's definitely a much more, I don't want to say calming, but I can kind of stay in the flow and be locked in on the situation, the next play, see the personnel. I don't have to wait on that to come in. I can see things as it's going, and I'm already on top of it. So it's a world. I would say, it's a world of difference from last year. Yeah, you don't have to, because on the sideline, you have to manage the emotions of the players and everything going on and whatnot, and guys asking questions, and it's like, I'll answer that later on. Let me get to this third down call. You know, those kinds of things I don't have to worry about anymore. I'm up there, my Coach Roy Anderson's next to me. You guys know Roy, he doesn't say anything, so it's nice and peaceful and quiet. So it's been pretty good.
But what is his job?
Roy, he tells me the personnel. He always follows up. I see it, but he always confirms that with me. And then I may ask him in between series, all right, Roy, give me the routes that's going on so I know if I need to make any coverage adjustments, things of that nature that's going on. So every coach on the staff has a role they got to fill on game day, and we're just collecting and putting information together so we know how to handle adjustments, whether it be within the game or at halftime, to get ready for the next series or the next half.
You said it's emotionless, but there's been cameras of you going this and that.
I'm not going to be perfect in that situation. I'm an emotional guy, but I got you.
What's the coaching point for Boye Mafe on that roughing the passer? What can he? Is it just simply not coming straight down?
Yeah, exactly. Think of it like basketball. When you go up in basketball to go defend a block shot, verticality, keep your arms straight up, so that way you don't get called for a foul. When you bring your arms down, just because you never know what's going to happen, and you're going so fast, you hit a guy in the head accidentally, and now obviously what was an interception turns into now a 15-yard personal foul and automatic first down. So keep your hands up. Don't follow through on the coming down on the guy's head accidentally. That's what I would tell him. And the other one where he missed the doggone freebie, don't leave your feet. Just run through the guy's strike zone, and now you got a two-piecer on the day. All right, thanks. You guys take care.